It's Monday. Isn't that nice? And that means it's Labor Day. And you're saying, Mr. Moohead, what did you do for Labor Day? Now, I mean, you didn't really say that. This is rhetorical because if you were wondering what I was doing, man, you've had a lousy weekend. But actually, thank you for asking. I actually went out and golfed 9 holes in my horrible physical condition. I also golfed. I golfed 6 holes 2 days ago and couldn't get through it. And today I completed 9 holes rather effortlessly, except that I had a little bit of pain in my right knee, but nothing that stopped me from golfing. And I actually had several pars out of the 9 holes. It was like I was hitting the ball straight and hitting it as well as I did before I was injured. Now, the fact that I have impending surgery doesn't change anything. I'm living my life. And I made sure that I didn't do any grilling out or cooking out. I had no friends over. Well, let's face it, I had no friends. And, you know, I just...
What am I, Chef Liver?
Well, I mean, you know, it's you know, the whole Labor Day thing is, and I understand it's important to, you know, to people, but to me, it's kind of masturbatory. It's one of those things that's kind of like that signals. It's kind of like the Beach Boys, the end of summer, you know, and even though it's still 90 degrees down here, and you know. So that everybody knows, I'm going back to Florida on the 13th of September for all my medical stuff. So all Moohead Radio will be emanating from Florida much earlier this year, but that's fine because we have an over 100 connection. It's a hugely strong connection, much stronger than I have here. So nothing to worry about. I'm leaving on the 13th, which is a Thursday. Hopefully, if I get home and I find that my internet is connected, which you never know, we'll be able to do a Friday show and get ready for the Browns home opener. I did want to talk about some of this stuff, the cuts. Any of the cuts surprise you, Brian?
No, but I was very happy we got rid of Coleman and Drango in one fell swoop.
God damn, you know, that
no better place in California than San Francisco for Spencer or for Sean Coleman.
I wanted either bubonic plague or you know, HIV to rid us of them. But you know, in the end, just a simple
walk down Shit Avenue and get tetanus or a staph or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, unlike the Indians, the Browns got rid of those 2 lousy players who cost us quarterbacks, and I was quite impressed that they, you know. I mean, Drango is literally a stumble bum. I think he has multiple sclerosis.
Oh, and speaking of former Browns, yes. Paxton Lynch was dropped so that Hogan could be added to the Denver quarterback room.
Yeah, I know that killed me, Kevin Hogan. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you know, there was a group of 22 people that called themselves the Lynch Mob, and now they have to get a whole new name. Yeah, Paxton Lynch. The people in Denver turned on him. They hated him. He was kind of like what Tim Couch became in Cleveland, you know, just kind of a despised figure, you know. And some of these guys,
everybody loves Tim Couch.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a time and a place, right? I mean, Paxton Lynch incurred the wrath, and it shouldn't have been him. It should have been Horsemouth Elway for drafting the idiot. And
still the goddamn governor of Colorado. Don't let anybody kid you.
He's Paxton Lynch was what, the 26th first round pick. He was number 26, and number 26 doesn't usually make it.
No, because he would have been picked by the Cowboys by then. I think he was earlier than that.
No, check online for me, people in the chat room. Check. I believe he was the 26th pick, and that the Broncos did trade up to get him. So, you know, you might want to check that out. I could be wrong. My memory is failing as I get older, you know.
Hugh Jackson getting 5-year contract extension. I don't know about that.
No, I think maybe Steven is pleasuring himself and getting his own extension. I don't know what that's all about.
3 inches.
Yeah, I know.
Hello.
No, that was like my favorite line. My favorite line is so Steven's with his girlfriend, right? And she goes, Give me 9 inches and make me bleed. So he fucked her 3 times and punched her in the nose. Okay, enough. I know it's pathetic. But the cuts that the Browns did, Drango and Coleman, it was lovely to see. But I think what's upsetting, if you want to say upsetting, what people are questioning was Caleb Brantley and Carl Nassib. You see, the problem with Hard Knocks, I'll tell you the good and the bad. All right. There goes. Crazy Dog confirms Paxton Lynch was drafted 26th overall by Denver. Now, why the people in Denver were convinced that he was their savior, I don't know. But boy, they took a dislike to him, boy, right out of the chute. There's another home run given up by Indians AAA career 32-year-old pitcher. God, you know what? God, I wish that I could like be teleported to the stadium, spread my legs, and just have all of them suck my dick. I hate the Indians. I hate them. They're terrible. And we'll talk about Terry Francona's confusion a little bit later in the show. Yeah. For us, the Nassib thing's hard for people to swallow because of the Hard Knocks program. Because, he gave that clever speech about financial stuff, and now that made him my favorite guy. And Devin,
that was completely fucking false.
It was all delusional. And then you have, the
10% return on events.
Don't ask a football player who gets head slapped for financial information. It doesn't work that way. But it's like, so we have, and then Devin Cajuste. The women are really into the Cajuste thing. Because, he's into crystals and clouds. Oh, he's so spiritual. He's also been cut from 4 teams now. I mean, it's like I told you in the last show. It's not that I have anything against Devin Cajuste. It was a heartwarming story. His father's still alive after 3 heart attacks. And, and he was an interesting character. But he was a long shot to make the team. And if you're not the starting prolific tight end who is like the young Antonio Gates, who may not be the best blocker in the world coming out of school, but can catch anything in sight, if you're Ozzie Newsome, and you can get downfield like that.
Speaking of Gates, he got a 1-year contract because the other guy got injured. So
38 years old, and he got one more year. But
so Devin may get on with the LA, San Diego.
You never know, but but if you're a tight end and you're looking for a backup spot and you don't block very well, and you're not like a big play guy, and you're not guaranteed to block somebody to get yardage for your running game, you're not going to make the squad. That's the conundrum for Devin Cajuste, and that didn't surprise me at all. The Nassib thing seems to have really taken people by surprise because they equated him, with, he's a high motor guy. And it's one of the things about Cleveland. It's a blue collar town.
Oh, they got rid of the other high motor guy was cut too, right along with him, with Jamie Meter.
Right. I mean, the thing about, and that's why they like the human refrigerator, or the Polish pierogi eater, or whatever they were calling him, and Nassib, because, they just tried so hard, didn't they? We were 0-16. Okay. But they tried so hard, and we're a blue collar town, and we believe in guys who work their ass off, who are overachievers. And we like to think that there's a place on our roster for guys who just play hard. But the problem with Carl Nassib is he was most effective batting passes down at the line of scrimmage. He's 6'7". But when you're batting passes down, you're not close to the quarterback, are you? He was kind of clogging up passing lanes, jumping up in the air and knocking passes down. But how many big-time sacks do you remember Carl Nassib coming up with? How many times did he flat out beat his man and crush and flatten the quarterback or stuff the running back for a 4-yard loss in the backfield? And you can't remember those occasions because they didn't happen. And
Jerome Brown, he was not.
No, I mean, the problem with Carl Nassib and his high motor is that he lacked athleticism and he couldn't keep weight on his frame. He wasn't strong enough and he wasn't athletic enough. He was relentless, yes, and that's a wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong. But he didn't produce. And we need people who are athletic who can get in the goddamn backfield and get to the quarterback. Or at least, hey, Jeff and Bama, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. You know, I guess that we want so much for these guys who are what we call good citizens to turn out to be really good football players. But we've had a parade of them in Cleveland who worked really hard, but they just lacked the tangibles. They had all the intangibles, but they lacked the tangibles. No surprise. Now, Caleb Brantley, I'm not sure. And Nassib got picked up by Tampa Bay, and Brantley got picked up by a hooker, I think, on 42nd Street. No, he got picked up by somebody as well. So they're both still in the league. I don't know what the Caleb Brantley story was, but to me, when I look at Nassib and I look at the rest of the cuts.
Well, he was a 5th round pick. He's another one of the Florida chain gang, having off the field issues while at the University of Florida.
Right. Yeah, he had problems. And Washington, Crazy Dog says that's where Caleb Brantley went. Yeah, the Redskins. It's consistency. Nate Orchard is another one. People are upset because of the Hard Knock show, and it was like I said when the last show ran and Hugh Jackson took a cheap shot at him and said, what are you doing, praying? You're gonna need to. You knew right then and there he was done. And it didn't matter what he did the next game, which was intercept a pass, go 64 yards with it and drop people in the backfield and all that. It didn't matter. Nate Orchard, the die was cast for him. Like the Montagues and the Capulets, there's the Orchards. And, nice fuzzy story, guy wants to stay in the league. So far, I haven't heard of anybody wanting him. He was the 18 and a half sacks as a senior at Utah, but he said it best himself, right? And the mics picked it up on the show. I think that I'm allergic to sacks. He kept going the wrong way, and he wasn't consistent. He would have a period of time where he would look like, okay, the guy might be something, but he was never able to put it together in a consistent, cogent way. Like we're waiting, for Myles Garrett to do. Myles Garrett, though, had a bad injury last year. Nate Orchard it didn't look like his motor was like running at Carl Nassib level, even though he probably had more talents. But he appeared limited as far as technique as well. So,
and he was on the depth chart. He was behind Ogunjobi and some of the other guy. I can't remember that backs up Ogba. He was a third stringer.
Yeah, you're only going to carry so many at each position, and it's not that Nate Orchard has anything to be terribly embarrassed about. I mean, he got cut from an 0-16 team. That's not the greatest thing in the world, but there may be redemption someplace else. He's going to have to play harder and develop more because we're at a position right now where we can't afford to keep 0-16 guys who don't go all out, or guys who go all out but don't have talent. We got to have better roster. And I don't know anything about the guys that they've picked up, the 4 or 5 guys they picked off the waiver wire. I don't know anything about these players, and I'm not going to even talk about them because I've not seen them play. But I imagine that Dorsey and the organization felt that they were more physical and more athletic than what we currently had up front on the offensive line at center, and also, because Ryder got cut. So, we're just trying to fill in and get that extra athleticism. Now, we'll move to Hugh. Hugh can't keep his fucking mouth shut. If you're not ready to announce something, don't open your fucking mouth, okay? If you're not sure whether Joel Bitonio is going to play tackle or guard, don't open your fucking mouth. If you think that Desmond Harrison has a chance to become your starting left tackle, don't open your fucking mouth. If you want to throw a curveball at the Steelers, throw a curveball at the Steelers. But don't announce it a week in advance. Are you fucking stupid? Are you brain damaged? Why are you fucking with an all-pro guard the way you're fucking with Bitonio? Doesn't he earn the respect for what he's done and what he's played through to know what position he's going to play? Is that asking too much? And do you have to go in front of the cameras and say, well, he's going to either be a tackle or a guard? And then when they talk to Bitonio, he goes, no, I don't have any say in it. He just tells me what to do. Can you imagine being in a fucking position where Hugh Jackson tells you what to do?
Preach.
Oh, my God. It is fucked up in Cleveland. It is fucked up. As long as Hugh Jackson is there, it's fucked up. And you know that Dorsey isn't sitting there going, oh, great. We talked about this in the meeting 15 minutes ago, and there's idiot Hugh talking to the press about it, giving no definitive. And the thing is, it's so stupid. He'll sit there and go, you can press me all day. You can press me as many times as you want to press me on this. I'm not going to give it up. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm not sure who's playing on the offensive line. What do we have the preseason for? What did we have this for? I don't understand what the purpose of any of this is. I mean, if you were trying to keep certain people healthy and undercover, fine, you keep them undercover until Sunday. But it was apparent that Bitonio didn't know. Unless he's the best fucking actor on the team, he didn't know. Mm-hmm. I don't get this. I honest to God, don't understand. And the experiment, what was it? So he could maybe play against people who were bigger than him and get injured? Is that what you subjected Bitonio to in the preseason? It's like, I don't understand any of it. It makes no damn bit of sense.
Yeah.
And, I would love for Desmond, I'm Harrison to be a wonderful player. I'd love for that to happen. But why are we muddying the waters with an all-pro player and just confusing the hell out of our offensive line? How in the hell are we ever going to end up with any communication or gelling?
With the retirement of Joe Thomas is now the best offensive lineman that the Browns have.
Yeah, well, I mean, and, basically what Bitonio said was, well, I guess there's going to be a rookie on either side of me. And then what do you tell Austin Corbett, who's been a good soldier, who's done everything you've asked of him, and say, oh, you might be the odd man out now, but thanks a lot for subjecting. Yeah, thanks for subjecting your body to punishment during meaningless preseason games. Fuck you. I'm Hugh Jackson. I'm going to jump in the lake again.
Sounds like the self-loathing is already beginning.
Fucking idiot, man. I mean,
Jordan Hicks got called out for telling reporters that Nick Foles was starting on Thursday, and they weren't supposed to reveal that.
Yeah, and why is that? The thing that's really amazing to me, first of all,
like that was any type of a secret.
I know, but still, you never reveal your cards, though.
No. I mean, he should be fined for doing that. Absolutely, I agree with you, Stephen. I agree with you.
Yeah, the head coach called them out and said, like, what are you doing? You know, I understand, like, let them figure it out at game time, but let them pre-plan for Wentz. Make them confused. It's like if we played poker and I said, oh, I got an ace queen, and you got 2 kings, you're gonna be like, okay, well, I'll raise you 5,000. I'll raise you 15,000. You know?
Well, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, all you had to do was look at the footage of Carson Wentz working out, and seriously, he looked like
he's still 3 weeks away.
Yeah, he looked like Chester from Gunsmoke. He's limping around. Yeah, you know, he just can't get this. I got this bad leg. It's this knee that's still bothering me. Yeah. You know, it's like, fuck this shit.
But you're never supposed to reveal your cards. I mean, if Cleveland's going to tell them, hey, look, our offensive linemen are 2 rookies. Oh, what else are you going to do? Oh, we're going to start this guy. Okay. Can we see your playbook for a second? Sure.
Well, I'll tell you, seriously, if I were the opposition and, you know, I would announcing that Nick Foles was going to be the quarterback based on his preseason performance would be an ultimate bummer for the team and a real motivator for the competition. He's looked terrible in the preseason, just terrible. And you kind of have the feeling that, you know, he had his Doug Williams moment, you know, it happens. He had a great game when it mattered, but, you know, kind of get a feeling that's not going to happen again.
Nah.
And, you know, I would fine the guy for doing that because, again, it just shows a total lack of thought process. But he's a player. He might have CTE. I don't know what Hugh Jackson's excuse is. I don't understand what his excuse is. All I know is this confusion seems to follow us year after year with him as the head coach.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're constantly playing musical chairs with him. Except nobody ever stops and sits down and starts again because we're just in this constant state of flux. I don't get it.
Mr. Moohead, doesn't it seem like there's going to be kind of a storyline going on in Cleveland? You're going to have Hugh Jackson and Haslam and their issues versus Todd Haley and
acid reflux.
It's going to be 2-on-2 at WrestleMania. Haslam and Hugh Jackson team up together.
You know,
2018, be there.
I just think that everybody knows that if things get off to a bad start, it's Hugh who's going to get fired. It's not going to be any of the coaching staff. But you really have to. I mean, if you're, you know, Tyrod Taylor Griffin III, you're probably thinking to yourself, what should be the happiest day of my life because Drango and Coleman are gone, and now we don't even know who's going to be in front of me. I don't even know where I'm going to be ducking from, which side.
It's kind of scary thinking about it.
And the organization is
here's the other thing. The last game that he actually played in, he dislocated his pinky because of the offensive line.
Yep.
And the play calling. So
I'll have Jimmy Haslam explain it to everybody, okay? We'll make this real simple. Woo! It's me, Jimmy Haslam. Yeah, boy. The way we do it here in Tennessee, let me explain it to you, boy. Tyrod Taylor's a black man. We're gonna have him run for his life. People say, oh, why aren't you starting Baker Mayfield? Because he's white. He's white, for God's sake. Why would I want to punish that young man from Oklahoma? I don't want him from Texas. I don't want to punish him. Let's get the black guy in from the Love Canal. If the poison and toxins didn't kill him in Buffalo, fuck, I'll do it myself. Woohoo!
Yep.
Or the Ted's hot dogs.
Nothing makes a quarterback feel more expendable than going out onto the field knowing that the people in front of him have never played together before. You know what that's like? I'll tell you what it's like. It's like flying into Thailand and putting a little child on one side of the street and say, okay, cross the street, Junior.
Yep.
I mean, it's like,
Mommy, where do I begin? There's about 60,000 cars and there's 4 dead bodies in the street already. Why are you asking me to cross the street?
because we don't love you, little Timmy. We don't love you. We decided we had one too many children, and you're the one who has to cross the street in Thailand. That's how the quarterback feels. You don't even, it's like, see Desmond Harrison lining up at left tackle, the most important position on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And the other guy's going, hey, look, man, he's fucking up, but what's his name? I want to tell him something, but I don't even know what his name is. I mean, there's no familiarity. What's the
They'll
use of
just be addressed by numbers.
Yeah. He didn't spend no time in the RV. It's not like there was any bonding time for Desmond Harrison. Are you kidding me? Tyrod Taylor is human sacrifice. People don't understand that Baker Mayfield won the competition. He's not playing. He's not playing. He won the competition.
I wonder if he got Haitian blood.
Mr. Moohead, do you think maybe this whole black quarterback thing with RG3, Tyrod Taylor, and Deshaun Kaiser is all part of him trying to clear his case up about that minority trucker thing?
No, I just think that, and it's not.
No, that's you.
It's not always the black guy, except with Jimmy, it might well be.
I mean, but maybe it's a cover up. Like he's saying, I'm not racist. Look, I got the black quarterback started and I'm trying, you know, like I'm not racist as you think I am.
But no,
you is a shield.
Hugh is an idiot, and you know, but Haslam, you know, you start. It's like, look, Darnold was announced the starter, and the luckiest man in the world is Josh McCown, because the 6 brain cells he still has left will survive for a couple of weeks until Darnold goes up in flames. Okay, lousy football team, and you know something. You look at McCown. Oh, McCown. Do you remember him when he played? Where was he? In Tampa, where he lost all those games before he came to Cleveland? I mean,
Arizona.
Yeah, they get used to playing with bad football teams and taking a fucking beating. And, you know, and Tyrod Taylor is like, you know, it's like, I thought things were going to get better if I was out of Buffalo. It's like, no. And Baker Mayfield, of course, he's the one who's got that confident look because his life has been spared. You know, Tyrod Taylor and Josh McCown and Deshaun Kaiser, they're Star Trek red shirts. That's what they are.
Run over by the Horta.
I wonder who's not going to make it through this season. Oh, why is he wearing a red jersey? You know?
It's like they walk in the locker room. They're like, oh, shit. And practice hasn't even started yet.
they're hanging there. Wait. Okay, I'm doing it.
Oh, shit.
Come on, Brian. I wish you had video. You got to do that. You got to do the Steven laugh. Yeah. You know, honestly, it can't make a quarterback feel good to know that the people who are responsible for protecting him, you feel good that Drango and Coleman are gone, but now it's like you got a left tackle who speaks Dutch, a left guard who speaks German. You have a center who speaks Spanish. I mean, it's like
sounds like going to Walmart.
Not good. No, except with the ass crack. They cover the ass crack in the NFL, not in the Walmart. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's not something that would make me particularly happy if I were a quarterback. And it seems like bad teams, the same guys end up quarterbacking them. It seems like it's a rut they can never get out of. The only guys I know who have really escaped, Steve Young, who escaped that horrible Tampa Bay fiasco to go to the 49ers. He woke up and he was in, his babes in Toyland. And, but how many guys do you know of who survived 2-14, 1-15 kinds of things? How many of them went on? Troy Aikman would be one. Terry Bradshaw would be one. But that was with the same team that was building and growing. But these guys move around from team to team, and they're never any good. Mm-hmm.
Doug Williams. You brought up Doug Williams. He went from a shitty Tampa Bay team. I think he was the quarterback when they were 0-14.
Yeah, and Plunkett.
And then later won a Super Bowl with Washington.
Yeah. He was with the $7 wasn't
thanks to Timmy Smith.
Well, Plunkett went to the Raiders from the New England Patriots. He never amounted to anything, and and he did very well in Oakland.
Jim Harbaugh was another one because he went to the playoffs with Indianapolis.
Yeah,
but I mean, you look at
enduring the shitty years of the Bears.
The guys who were named starting quarterbacks, it's like if you're Nathan Peterman, I mean, you're just being told you're playing with a bad team. That's why you're the starter.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. when the goddamn tsunami and the Love Canal chemicals are encroaching upon him, he will realize that being the starting quarterback in Buffalo is not such a great thing. But all over the league, there have been quarterbacks who have been announced as the starting quarterbacks. And, you're like, who is the one who, let's take a look at the top guys. Darnold's the only one starting. Who's starting in Rosen's place?
Sam Bradford.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he won't last for long because he'll get hurt. But that at least you can understand. Of the other guys who were, in Buffalo, Josh Allen couldn't crack that because they'd kill him. He would die there. And I see the young rookies who are not starting for lousy teams. I think that Baker Mayfield's in the best position he can be in. Sit him until the offensive line gels. And if that means you got to play Drew Stanton or bring it.
That's why I get so pissed off every time I have to listen to the great pontificator on FS1 go, oh, well, I don't understand why they don't start Baker Mayfield. He's going to be the greatest thing ever.
Guys at yachts. The guy's yachts.
Shut up.
I mean, he will play, believe me. He's better than Tyrod Taylor, okay? He's better. But that isn't what we're looking at. The team isn't ready to put a really less elusive, we need a more elusive veteran quarterback out there on the field. And once we can protect Baker Mayfield, and let's be honest, Baker needs to sit and marinate in that playbook.
Yeah.
He has to learn it inside and out, and he's got to learn how to go through that process. And it's all good. It's all good.
I'm afraid if they stick him in too soon, they may have higher expectations. Rather, if he just sits and waits it out, and worst case scenario, you could put him back in and let him learn.
Oh, by the way, I thought it was interesting that Hilliard was announced on the practice squad, but Matthew Days is gone. Been gone so long. He's been gone so long. I don't know what happened there. I have no idea why. What the situation is. I still haven't heard what the ankle injury was with Matthew Days. I don't know, but he looked quick to me. He looked good in the preseason. And I saw that Willies, did he make the practice squad, or is he still on the?
He's the sixth receiver.
That's incredible.
Wow.
That's just incredible.
Unless that was as of last night. Now, if anything happened today, I don't know. But he was on the roster as of last night.
Well, he's not going to play, but still. And the big happy headlines: Josh Gordon returns to practice. Wonderful, wonderful. So he has 6 days to get ready for the Steelers. You're the fucking Steelers. You're going to put Desmond Harrison on the field with the fucking Steelers? Are you serious? I mean, there's such a thing as baptism by fire, and then there's burning the whole fucking town down.
What I can't remember the name of the donkey that got blamed for the Chicago fire, but maybe that's what we should rename Hugh.
I think it was Travis Hafner. Wasn't he the? I don't know. Yeah. Well.
No, it was like Rosie or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well.
Knocked over a nightlight into City Hay Barn, and
right. It started the whole thing. My other favorite thing is like, the Browns blew it by not getting Khalil Mack. No, the Bears mortgaged their future to get Khalil Mack.
Yep.
I mean,
the Browns didn't have $141 million to spend on Khalil Mack.
And not only that, but I mean, we need the picks. And it's like, well, we never do very good with the picks. And it's like, no. The previous guys. Let's take a look at how our guys do this year. Let's be cool about this. Give these people a chance. But I mean, to sit there and piss and moan about Khalil Mack, we've got bigger fish to fry, man. I'm worried as hell that Pittsburgh, the dreaded, hated Steelers, are coming into Cleveland, and poor Desmond Harrison is going to be put on that line, and it's just too much too soon. I mean, 1 minute you're playing at West Georgia against Pygmies, and the next minute you're in there with the Steelers. You don't want to be a laughingstock in your home opener against the goddamn Steelers. And I feel it coming. Whoa, I feel it coming back again. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want another laugher. I want the people who are prepared to play. Not saying, well, we're going to play our best guys, but they have to be familiar with the system. I mean,
and each other.
Yes. I mean, it's why, what were we doing in preseason? I don't know, playing Chinese checkers with the offensive line. It's really peculiar. The whole thing is really peculiar.
I wonder who is green.
Seems like to me like your hopes aren't too high for this first game, considering the factors of the offensive line and everything.
Hey, Lindor just hit his 30th home run, so we didn't get shut out. We got our one run for the game. Makes everybody happy. Everybody goes home from Progressive Field happy, losing 5-1 to the fucking Kansas City Royals, 45-91. Goddamn.
They won 6 in a row now.
Jacob Junis looked like Cy fucking Young against this group of bozos.
That's why I
Here's
can't watch the Indians.
before I go back to the Browns, I want to segue into something that makes me very angry. The whole Josh Donaldson thing to the Indians doesn't make me angry, but the way it's being handled sure as hell does make me very angry. Here's the deal. So Donaldson has a bad calf, and he hasn't been able to really get completely healthy, and the Indians discussed it. They wanted him to play immediately and make an impact, but they thought, well, better that we let him go through the, little bit of a minor league, plus put him in the minors for a few games, let him play in AAA and AA and get his swing and get himself together and see how that calf holds up. And then Terry has to come up with this stupidity. Yeah, we thought about it. And we decided it would be a lot more fair to the two guys involved, Ramirez and Kipnis, if we let them kind of get their reps in whatever new position, for Hosey is going to be second base and Kipnis let him shag balls in center field. And it's out of respect. It's out of respect to those players. What I want to know is, where was the respect for Yandy Diaz? What did he do to anybody in this organization? If you're claiming that you didn't want to stuff Josh Donaldson into the starting lineup out of respect for a guy who's missed more games than anybody, Jason Kipnis, and is hitting in the 220s for the last couple of years, and to pretend that it's got something to do with Ramirez, who is a natural second baseman and should have been playing second base all along. Where was the respect shown to Yandy Diaz, who's done nothing but hit when you give him an opportunity? You've tried to fuck him over every human way you can. He gets no respect.
Preach.
It is a pecking order, and I hate inconsistency. If you're going to show respect for people, you show respect for all people, not just based on what somebody did 3 or 4 years ago for you. Donaldson hit a grand slam, by the way, at his AAA rehab start in his first at bat. Donaldson's worth the risk for, a player to be named later, which we can only hope is Josh Tomlin. No, it couldn't be, because it's a player to be named later, so it couldn't be him. We can hope, though. Or as, Mr. Rourke would say, this is my fantasy, to see Josh Tomlin shipped off to somewhere to oblivion. I say it's worth it. Give him a month. Josh Donaldson, if he can contribute, that's great. It's wonderful. No risk there. No risk. Plus, we get Kipnis off the field. Or do we? He's going to reemerge in center field.
He's going to be like that rookie gag film with the two broken feet, or they'll drive him around in the cart in center field, trying to shag balls.
Why would you put a guy who has no range at second base into the most range-needed position on the field, center field? Why would you do that? Greg Allen may not be a great baseball player right now in his young career, but he can cover ground out there. There's no question about that. Jason Kipnis? He barely has the arm. He can't throw people out from shallow right field.
Preach.
What? Why? What is the deal? It's respect. It's respect for Jason Kipnis. Fuck Jason Kipnis. And he was pissed off. Jason Kipnis was pissed off. Yeah, he wasn't very happy about losing that second base position. Well, what do you fuck? You're the manager. You tell him, we stayed with you for 2 fucking years and you didn't get it done. You're Spencer Drango and you're Sean Coleman. Sit down and shut the fuck up, order a hot pretzel and wave a towel in the dugout. Just shut the fuck up. He's unhappy about it. Jesus Christ.
Well, he'd be really unhappy if I was the GM because I'd send his ass down to fucking single A.
And this is what got him fired from Boston. You know, everyone said, but it was the chicken and beer. You know, the chicken and beer was symbolic. It was a feeling by these people that it was entitlement. These guys get to feeling entitled. When you coddle them too much, they start running your life.
Yep.
And it's the same way with the Browns players. You know, guys playing at half speed and getting away with it in years past because they were coddled.
Yep. Nobody
put their foot down. There comes a time when you have to put your fucking foot down.
Same thing if you're at a workplace. If you're I've worked at places where managers were too soft on their employees and employees were literally running all over them.
Yep. And happens all the time. And once a person feels they got an edge on you, they're going to exploit that edge. That is the nature of the human condition. And, you know, this is why I'm happy that the Cleveland Browns at least are crazy. Greg Williams is telling his players to go fuck their moms. And it's like, go out there and just beast on somebody, you know, hit somebody. Go out there, tackle efficiently but hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Would you like to see Greg Williams promoted to head coach if Hughes fired midseason?
No, because he was not a good head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator, especially for where we're at with the young guys we have. They need to know that it's a violent collision-based game.
What about Todd Haley?
Haley would be between the two. Haley would be a better head coach.
I don't believe that to be the case either, because Haley notoriously is very emotional, has a very a short fuse.
Well, and who would promote his interim? Then if that decision has to be made in the 5th game in the season, who would you go with?
Oh, well, if you're going with in something like that, whoever the players gravitate toward as far as a rallying cry. But, you know, if Greg Williams is named the interim head coach, he has nothing to do with the offense, and vice versa with Haley. So the ship will run the way the ship will run. I don't think Hughes' position has any significance at all. It's just like wasting $100 million a year in bonuses on CEOs that masturbate behind their desk. You know, Hugh thinks he's a goddamn CEO, and he's probably right about that.
His time will come to an end, though.
Yeah, I mean, for every coach was hired to be fired. That's the bottom line. It's just what circumstance throws them over the edge. What is it that throws the guy from being a coach to an ex-coach? And it's usually something, they all commit suicide. They all do something incredibly ignorant.
Unless they coach for Jerry Jones, and then it's usually a drunken incident.
And what the hell?
Too deep into the fucking tequila.
You know what I can't understand? And what you brought up Jerry Jones. They got rid of their leading career field goal percentage kicker to bring in a guy who's never kicked in an NFL game in his life. All right? Now, how is that possible? And the answer is, well, the one guy cost us $3.4 million, and the other guy cost us $400,000. We saved $3 million. And how many points? When this guy you bring in freezes and starts missing everything, what have you accomplished? I don't get it. So help me God, I don't get it. I thought it was about winning. I thought it was about putting the best players out on the field.
Preach.
I don't understand. I mean, the guy had like a career, what was it, 88% make rate for the Cowboys over his career? You know, you know what it was like? It was like Shane Leckler, your Houston punter, who got dumped.
Yep.
Guy's 42 years old. I get that. But he outkicked the kid by 3 yards a punt.
Yep.
He's a career great punter. He's like Ray Guy territory, right?
Yeah.
Legler. Yeah. I mean, Legler was just magnificent. And that's what happens. You end up getting cut for a guy who's never, he's talented. Oh, he's talented, this young guy. Well, we'll see. People are coming at him. We'll see how talented he is. But I always thought it was about putting your best men out on the field.
Yeah, Steven Anderson got cut too, and I was like, what the hell? Our best tight end got cut because Fedorowicz retired due to concussions, but now you got this rookie in, and they're like, oh, yeah, he has potential. And I'm like, well, how do you know?
well, how do you feel good about John Gruden, about Chucky, coaching your team when your team comes out and says, we didn't have the money for Khalil Mack. In fact, we were looking to save money on this thing, and it made a lot more sense to us. It's like Poindexter and his pocket protector is now running the team. Is that the way it works? If you're an Oakland fan, it's like, oh, shit.
Well, Al's son is not as ballsy as Al.
Yeah, well,
his son would never sue the NFL 4 times and win all 4 times.
Wow.
No, but again, it's not about fielding the best players and putting them out in the field. And I understand there's finances involved with this, but a kicker? I mean, it's, and the Browns really are not high on Zane Gonzalez. I'll tell you that. He was a great college kicker. He's got a huge leg. He's been inconsistent accuracy-wise because he was playing for an 0-16 team, and Hugh Jackson kept putting him out and pulling him off the field, if you remember last year. Nah, we're not going to even try for this field goal. We'll go for the 4th and 7. And that's how they gave Zane Gonzalez confidence, you see.
It's Deep Podesta in Oakland.
What I don't understand is how do these owners and personnel make these wacko decisions that normal fans can say, hey, what the hell are you thinking? And they're like, well, it might work. And then when the season works, it's like, well, we were just trying something new. It's like, but dude, we could have told you a long time ago this shit wasn't going to work. And you're hired at this position, you idiot.
Yeah, there is a lot of wisdom to, I always look at the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks who are talked about in the draft every single year.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of film. I can't sit there and be intelligent because I'm not a college football fan. I can't watch a 77-31 game and say, oh, I feel good. I feel good.
I did.
Yeah, I feel really good about that former Rutgers asshole. I feel great. Former Tampa Bay asshole. I feel great about him being our defensive coordinator. Oh, Greg Schiano. What a prince.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't feel good about that.
It's not about him though. It's about the kids. So
well, I understand.
But you actually go out and get hurt playing the game.
Yeah, but you don't put an asshole in with kids like that. I'm sorry. He is an asshole.
Schiano, wasn't he the one that when the quarterback would try to kneel the ball, he designed a play to where you try to hit the ball out? I saw that they were doing that.
Schiano was the most reviled head coach in football. He was reviled. And, yeah, I don't know. But I'm not a big college football fan. But at any rate, I do watch film of the quarterbacks. And I still honestly believe that Josh Allen is going nowhere. And I still believe that Lamar Jackson is not the next coming of Randall Cunningham. the only things that I say, and I think Darnold is going to prove that he holds onto the ball too long and takes immense punishment. He's going to be totally psyched out and confused. The speed of the game come week 1 is he's going to poop his pants.
Plus, he's
okay?
not going to be playing against 2s and 3s in the vanilla package. They're actually going to be game planned to take away his reads.
But coach, they're in the backfield and they're running after me now. You know, they see my big forehead and there's a big target on it.
You want the ball? Here.
But,
and he'll have a season like Deshaun Kaiser did.
I could not find anybody except maybe the ardent Browns fans who, you know, are part of Believe Land no matter what happens, who thought that Deshaun Kaiser, after the debacle at Notre Dame, was a worthwhile pick. I couldn't find anybody who I respect, who I say, hey, you know,
I wanted Deshaun Watson at 12.
Yeah.
No offense.
Convince me. You know, I always say to the guys, I'm open-minded about this. Here's what I see, but tell me I'm wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. Nobody could show me where I was wrong about Brandon Wheaton, who couldn't take a snap under center because he took nothing but shotgun snaps when he was at Oklahoma State. Nobody could show me any reason to believe that that guy had a brain in his head, and the fact that he was already old coming out of college.
Yeah,
Nobody
looks like Will Ferrell.
It was Chris Winkie all over again.
Exactly right. And there was no room for growth.
27 years old playing against, 22-year-olds. Of course, it should be fucking better.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it was arrested development beyond that. But I couldn't find anybody who could convince me that Kaiser was worth a damn. And, you know, the same thing with Johnny Manziel. I sat there and I said, you know, it's one thing to be big man on campus, Tim Tebow, and you can win a national championship in Bula Bula, and you get the upskirt shots of the girls who are on the sidelines and all that happy horse shit. But when they drafted,
I still contend that Manziel could have been pretty damn decent if handled the right way. Nobody wanted to fucking invest the time or the effort to make that fucking happen. He could have been Joe fucking Namath. He could have had that kind of a career.
No, see, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And nobody who's coached him has seen it either. He's a college quarterback. And it's like Tim Tebow. People like Tim Tebow because he's a Christian guy. They like what he stood for. They like that he kneeled. But when they drafted him, and the first thing they said is, oh, God, he's dropping his arm and he's got too long of a windup. We've got to change his mechanics. The second that happened, it's like, guy throws like a girl. I mean, for God's sakes, he's thoroughly. I mean, it's not a mechanical thing. It's that.
But all he did was go out and beat Pittsburgh in a playoff game.
Oh, you know something? Stow it and save it for another time. You know, his defense beat up teams. He would win a game, honest to God, 6-3, and they'd give him credit.
Yeah, Tim Tebow was horrible out there.
Horrible.
I mean, stats, but he fucking won.
He threw the ball like he was being hit every time. Like you could literally watch the ball in the air, and you could like go get a drink, come back, and it'll still be in the air. You know,
he was gifted a great defense. That was what he was gifted. But you know, it's the same thing with Flutie. They said, "Well, Flutie won in Chicago." Well, you know, look at what happened after Flutie went away. I mean, Jim McMahon is not a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they won it all. The bottom line is defense is a big thing. It's a big to-do. Tim Tebow couldn't score points because he couldn't throw the football. He really looked like
but Jimmy couldn't stay on the goddamn field, though. He took too many chances with his body. And too many Jim McMahon.
Oh, well, about that. Yeah, Crash Craddock,
he took too many hits in San Diego. He took an equal amount of hits on that shitty ass turf in Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
It's a sad thing, but yeah, he more courage than sense. Kind of Brett Favre-esque, you know. It's like I'm a tough guy, and this is what happens to tough guys in football very often. I just feel as though when I see film of quarterbacks and I see a guy like Deshaun Watson, how the ball leaves his hand, I see his size, I see his arm strength, and I say, why would we say no to that and say yes to, Johnny Manziel, or, it's like, why would we do that? And the answer is they're looking at something different than I am. I don't know. If I saw a college quarterback
who get out of Alabama for 2 straight years,
show me
that's all he did.
Yeah, AJ McCarron. Show me a quarterback who is part of a zone read, run first mentality, Mr. Athletic guy, and I will show you over and over again the failed run and shoot quarterbacks that came from the major programs of Houston, David Klingler, or Andre Ware, who was Rodney Pete. I can sit there and
USC though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I can name you quarterbacks who are Cornelius Green, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I can name you quarterbacks who were amazingly athletic people, but that's not the skill set that we're looking for here. Not at all. You're looking for somebody who can process information in a short period of time and be definitive. You got to have arm strength, which seemed to be missing in a lot of these athletic guys, to tell you the truth, was the concept of arm strength. You got to be accurate, and you got to be decisive. You got to be able to make quick reads, quick decisions. And if you can't make the right decision, pick sixes are imminent. And we see that happening all the time. And the other thing is, with the game changing the way it has, the athletic quarterback doesn't last. RG3 is fighting by his fingernails to stay in the goddamn league. And he was supposed to be the reason why that we were ushering in the era of the small athletic quarterback, and it will never be that way. Look how quickly they went back to the Carson Wentz model. You know what I mean?
I used to argue with my friend all the goddamn time about RG3 versus the kid in Indianapolis that's hurt all the time.
Teddy Bridgewater?
No. Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis. Luck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said when I saw Luck at Stanford, I said that's a 15-year starter in the NFL.
I knew that right away.
When I looked at RG3, I said that guy's going to have a maybe 5 or 6 year career, and then that's it. And when Indianapolis drafted Andrew Luck, I said he can step right in and run Peyton Manning's offense without a hell of a lot of adjustment or dumbing down. And RG3 wouldn't be able to do that because he didn't run that kind of a system at Baylor.
I can show you Dan Fouts, the slowest guy in the world, Drew Brees, slowest guy in the world. I can show you Dan Marino, slowest guy in the world. I can show you more, and Peyton Manning, slowest guy in the world. I can show you Tom Brady, the slowest guy in the world. I can show you more unathletic, successful Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Johnny Unitas. The man had a hitch in his giddy up when he was 22. I mean, I can show you historically the quarterbacks who throw for this incredible amount of yardage, and that's not the skill set. They weren't looking at what they ran the 40 in. They weren't looking at that.
Bernie won a lot a
That's right.
And that's right. He ran like a giraffe with missing legs.
He could, and God only knows if you gave Bernie Kosar, what was the best he ever had was like Webster Slaughter and Reggie Langhorne, along with Ozzie.
Brian Brennan.
If you would have given him the Michael Irvin kind of guys, if you would have given him the athletic outside speed, he'd have been a whole lot better. He made what I would consider to be a above average Cleveland team into a perennial playoff team because he was crafty. He knew how to read defenses, and he put you in positions where you could make plays. That's what he did. That's what you're looking for from a quarterback. But
I always said he would have made a great offensive coordinator.
And, I don't see Darnold. I don't see it. I watch the preseason games. I don't see it. And I know that Josh Allen looked good against in his limited stint against the Browns. I know that against our second and third unit. But not 53, 54% of your passes. No, it's not going to happen. When I look at Baker Mayfield and see where he throws the ball, how he keeps guys in stride, and the accuracy, after the past years of watching these bozos that we've put back there who never put the ball on the numbers, who always put the ball in a place where the receiver had to slow down for it, had to come back for it, had to go sideways for it. They never kept their receivers in stride. Why we never got, yak, the yards after catch, because guys had to slow down for passes. I've watched all of our guys in the past. I watched the footage, and I don't see Darnold. I don't see Josh Allen. I don't see it.
Well, and before people jump on the whole, well, he only completed 50. He's using some of those throwaways like Brad Johnson used to. It artificially keeps his completion percent. It's going to keep his completion percentage down, but it's also going to keep turnovers from happening.
Well, you tell me, when was the last time you felt enthusiastic about a Cleveland Browns quarterback who was only allowed to play with the second and third units in a preseason?
No.
I mean, nobody looks good with those people. It's like summer league in the NBA. Nobody fucking looks good in summer league. You sit there and go, God, they just drafted him. How high? DeAndre Ayton? How high did he get? The number one pick? God, I wasn't worth it at all. Well, then he's going to get into the NBA and he's going to learn, and you're going to say, oh, I see what they were looking at. He starts swatting shots out of the air. And, okay, I get it. Summer league, you don't get it. Because, and the same thing with preseason playing with second and third unit guys. Half the time that Baker Mayfield would go back to throw, it was his own craftiness that bought him enough time to look down the field, but his second and third string receivers couldn't break open, so he had to throw it out of bounds. That's why those, but he wasn't turning the ball over a la Kaiser. He wasn't doing that. But, I'm looking at these other guys, and it's like, who has the big games? The Lamar Jacksons have the big games in the preseason, because when you're in scramble mode, you're going to get yardage because the second and third unit the plays are going to break down, and you're going to end up being an open field player.
Well, and the defense isn't geared. Again, it's a vanilla defense. It's not geared for specifically stopping him.
It's like playing a college game against a Division III school.
Ben Roethlisberger. I know we don't like him in Cleveland. But everyone thinks about him and says, ooh.
Don't party with that guy in the bathroom.
That's not the one. That's part of it. He's strong. He can grab him by the ankles and drag him. No. What they remember is, he went back to pass. He broke a tackle. And he made a big play out of it. That's what people remember. But that's not what makes Ben Roethlisberger a Hall of Fame quarterback now. What makes him a Hall of Fame quarterback is that he's big. He takes punishment. He gets back up. He completes passes. All of the tight ends that have played for him look good. The wide receivers, the Hines Wards and all of them look good, not just because they were great wide receivers, but because he was throwing them the ball. And during the vast majority of Ben's career, he had a stellar running game that kept defenses guessing so that he was able to use the ability to make the choices back there and throw to the open men because the defense was on their heels with the play action. That's what made him and makes him so damn good. But you put in a young guy with second and third unit guys and they're running for their lives. Yes, Lamar Jackson's going to show athletic ability and escapability. But that's not what you want from your quarterback. You don't want your quarterback running around crazy like that. You want him in the pocket protected so he can make those fast decisions. We will not know about Lamar Jackson's ability to make decisions until Flacco gets hurt or the Ravens get sick of looking at him. And they'll put him out on the field, and we'll see what kind of decisions Lamar Jackson makes from the pocket. Because if he tries to run out of the pocket, NFL, not for long. He's not going to be around.
Try asking the same question.
2020.
I'm sorry. What are you asking, Brian? I didn't get your question.
I didn't pose a question. I just said 2020 is when we'll really get to see Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I have, and I admit I have a slight bias because he is one of those guys who's very athletic and who wins games in college with his legs. I'm always wary of that. But I'm more than willing. I
still call him the human highlight reel, and I wouldn't have been disappointed if the Browns had picked him. So, especially with having a proven winner like oh shit, now it's number 5 in front of him.
Where? In Baltimore?
No, on the Browns. If Cleveland had drafted him at 4, had picked Barkley and then picked him at 4, I wouldn't have been that disappointed.
Oh, I mean, I don't think you could pick Lamar Jackson 4. I mean, but again, there's a lot to be proven or disproven. All right. And I'm not going to condemn the young man just because others who had similar skill sets, the tendency is to start profiling. I don't mean racially either, but I mean profiling by athleticism, that a quarterback, but size, durability, arm strength, quick decision-making. And that last one, the quick decision-making thing, is what separates the Drew Breeses who succeed in the NFL from the multitudes of players who do not succeed. I see the Drew Brees aspect in Baker Mayfield. I see the definitive read. I see in his eyes that he understands what he's seeing. It's still moving a little fast for him. But once he gets to it, and if he gets out on the field with a little bit more of a gelled team, you're going to see that he is going to find people that Deshaun Kaiser couldn't find, that Brandon Weeden couldn't find. You're going to look at the game film, and when a guy breaks open, he's going to be on him because his eyes are always moving. And that's a very important thing. The thing about the athletic guys, they win in college because they're escapable, but they take their eyes off their receiver in order to make the big play in college, where quite honestly, as a quarterback, if you're a 4.4 guy running a 4.4 at quarterback, you can outrun the defensive backs in college. You ain't going to outrun them in the NFL. And all it takes is one square hit and you're gone. But in college, it's less of a risk that way. And your escapability is going to buy you out of bad play calls or bad formations. But your athleticism is going to pick your team up and it's going to carry you over the finish line. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. It's all in the pocket. It's all the decision-making. It's how you feel pressure. A guy who runs first and asks questions later never learns how to feel pressure in the pocket. It's a big difference between going back and saying, oh, I'm taking off. The second I see that my primary guy is not open, I'm taking off, which is college football. And professional football, where it's, I'm going to take a little step to my right, step to my left, get comfortable in the pocket, and give that extra second for my tight end to break off that pattern and to hit a dead spot in the zone, or to isolate my running back coming out of the backfield and get that extra step on his linebacker defender. That, the buying of time and the shiftiness of using your body, that's all part of being quarterback. But I don't know, Darnold just didn't impress me. I see a very typical rookie quarterback. I see the lack of accuracy in Allen, and I see a lack of thought process speed in Darnold. Time will tell. They asked me before in the Carson Wentz here who I would have taken, and I said Wentz. I said my only concern was playing at North Dakota. Who did he play against? But then I said, I remember saying this on the air. I said, but who did Ben play against at Miami of Ohio? I mean, there are guys who have skill sets. Carson Wentz was the right choice, and he looked the part. He passed my eye test. I got to be honest, I didn't really want to look at Baker Mayfield. And the reason I didn't want to look at him is because, boy, he was a live wire in college, and he's a little on the short side, and he's not fast. And I'm going, ugh. And I'm holding my head, and I'm thinking Rosen is the pure passer. And you know that I gave my blessing to Rosen as the guy who I would pick if I were the Browns. But I've gotten a full eye load of Baker Mayfield. And I like what I see. I'm happy with the choice.
I agree.
But until it all plays out on the field, it doesn't matter. Until Lamar Jackson hits the field, Darnold hits the field, Allen hits the field, all these people hit the field.
I felt like Sam Darnold should have stayed one more year in college. And I know I'm not just saying that because my Longhorns play them next week, and I wanted that rematch, but I still felt like he was coming out too early. He should have stayed another year.
Well, Paxton Lynch is a good example of a guy who had a big arm, but wasn't particularly accurate in college. And, you know, and I never saw that as being he couldn't pass the eye test when I watched him play. None of that surprises me. I mean, Tim Tebow didn't surprise me that he didn't make it in the NFL. I mean, every year there's a boatload of quarterbacks coming out of college football. I mean, it did not surprise me that Cardale Jones couldn't even make the Chargers roster. That didn't surprise me. You know, you're looking at a whole spectrum of qualities.
His development at Ohio State really got ruined the year after the championship. So
it was not in the best interest of the coaching staff of Ohio State to have to live with a drop back pocket passer with a strong arm who wasn't necessarily the most accurate or mechanically sound strong arm. He didn't have the escapability. I mean, look at who's plays quarterbacks every year for Urban Meyer. You know that speed. Cardale Jones didn't fall into that category. He had his moment in the sun. That's wonderful. But the fact of the matter is that there was nothing in his skill set that told me that this guy was going to be an imminent success in the NFL. And now he's going to be out of the league.
Bork says Patrick Ewing reads better than Cardale Jones.
Well, I mean, I don't like to get into the whole discussion of somebody's relative intelligence. I don't know. What I do know is that a lot of guys with big arms and big bodies, Jamarcus Russell, come in with a lot of props coming in to their NFL careers and leave very hastily. The Ryan Leaves of the world,
I'll never forget Ryan Leaf. Knock it off! Remember the incident in the locker room with the reporter? What are you doing? Knock it off!
Yeah, well, it's a lot of guys with big arms, but that's just not, Derek Anderson had a cannon for an arm. It just isn't about that. And
but, he had an accuracy problem too at Oregon State, and then it carried over into the NFL, and nobody ever corrected it.
Yeah, and Bronk is pointing out quite accurately that I said that he was a rah-rah Joe College guy, and that's exactly what I said about Baker Mayfield. And it scared me because of the Manziel thing and seeing these bula guys who are planting flags at the midfield line, and it's like you get this horrible feeling that their best days are behind them, that they reached their pinnacle in college. And that was my concern about Baker Mayfield. Yeah. But, again, until you see a guy adapt, and what I've seen him adapt to is being forced to play with Spencer Drango and Sean Coleman in the second and third units. He still popped out of my screen and passed the eye test with these idiots in front of him and with a bunch of people like C.J. Board and Willies at the wide receiver position. And he's still moving the ball, and he's still putting up points.
And Higgy baby.
Mr. Hewitt, can I ask you a question in reference to what you just said about the offensive line?
Yeah.
You're saying that, you're kind of worried about the rookies playing in week 1, but would you have rather kept Sean Coleman and Spencer Dringo? Would you rather have kept
No. I mean, look, Zeitler played one series and that was all. And, you know, he's not ready to play, and he normally would be, and that would be your guy. You know,
is there anybody you would like to see on the offensive line to replace these rookies, or is it kind of like we don't really have much more of a choice?
I don't want to put Desmond Harrison in a position where he's going from West Georgia to play Pittsburgh in week 1, and when he hasn't played with the ones the entire preseason. I think that's bad judgment. To even be mentioning it as a possibility is absurd. This is how we ruin young players. If he's got let him work at his craft, but you know, to get eaten alive.
And I don't think Corbett was playing badly at the starting guard position.
Everything they asked of him, and granted, the power isn't there, the mauling factor isn't there, right?
Well, but he's got to grow the body to match the position.
Well, my feeling about a guy like Austin Corbett is he's smart and he'll find his position. But Treader is the guy who's, you know, treadering water. He could be replaced. We have guys who can play center, and he has not been all that strong. So, you know, the answer to your question, Stephen, is it's not that I begrudge Desmond Harrison the opportunity to play football, just not week 1 when he hasn't played with the ones all preseason. I think that's a big mistake. It's going to hurt his confidence, and it's going to hurt Tyrod Taylor.
Well, Zeitler wasn't hurt. I'm pretty sure he would have played, right?
No, I mean, sure. I mean, but that's, again, who did you play during the preseason with your ones, and that's who you play. And that's Corbett was in, and Bitonio was your tackle, and you know, Corbett was your guard, and Treader was your center, and you know, you play the people who at least formed a cogent offensive line in your preseason. I'm not saying they were great, but they didn't get anybody totally killed.
So if you would have had to pick your starting 5, I mean, you would have had Corbett in there, right?
For now. I mean, I'm not saying that Desmond Harrison isn't a better player, but he hasn't played beside these people, and he had an entire preseason to do it. He was hurt in the beginning, initially in training camp, and he fell a little bit behind, and there have been questions about this guy. It's not like he's a great citizen. He's had problems, and you know, he's played against very small college competition, and you know, it's just it would be like taking a guy and taking him from Class A to the major leagues.
Yeah,
I mean, it's foolishness. If you have somebody, you groom them a little. You get them to Double A, and if they just rip the cover off the ball, or if you're Bart Cologne and throwing 98 at Double A and you're striking everybody out, okay, I see that. You know, you bring them up. Cody Allen, you bring them up. You know, you have somebody who's really dominating in your Double A, you can bring them. You know, but he's not even. He's at Low A right now. Desmond Harrison is like not even had an opportunity.
The only player I could think of that really shined from like the practice squad was Arian Foster. I remember when he was doing really well, and they're like, "Hey, this guy Arian Foster is doing really good." They put him in the preseason. He had a really good third game in the preseason, and then from there he just quickly gelled onto the offense. But that's very rare that happens, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to get going. It's 24 minutes after 7. I got to eat my dinner. But, you know, it's been an interesting conversation, and you can twist this around in any number of ways. I don't have a problem with the people who the Browns cut, but I do have a problem with the head coach who is speculating and playing Hamlet in front of the press. And it's a stupid thing to do, because what you're doing is you're throwing Bitonio under the bus. That's disrespectful. That is really a disrespectful thing to do to a guy who's given his life and limb to play for your lousy 1-31 football team, and to change his position just that quickly. And then now say, oh, I might be changing him back, but I'm not sure. And I haven't, it's like, then why are you talking? If you haven't thought it through, keep your fucking mouth shut.
You're saying he should have just played his cards right and not have said anything and then just speculate. Let them speculate.
People don't jibber jab in the middle of a fucking poker game. And this is Steelers week. God damn it.
Yep.
This is no time to be shooting your mouth off. This is when everyone's going to find out why you didn't throw a pass to Duke Johnson. Let the Steelers find out in the opening drives of the game what we have and what we have for them. Don't prepare them in any way. Don't give them a glimpse into your own indecision. Fuck that. That's stupid. I'm done. Guys,
we'll be discussing the breakdown of the Steelers Browns in the next show for Friday, like an actual breakdown, because I would like to get the game.
Yes, it's going to be a much more detailed thing, and we'll also talk about some of the other AFC North teams. That's going to be the way we handle Fridays. No pick'em leagues or anything like that. We're going analytical because I think the Browns actually have a chance to win a few games this year, and I want to look more closely. And we know there's no Le'Veon Bell, but that doesn't mean anything. In Pittsburgh, you've got guys. There will be a wide receiver who gets 150 yards against the Browns, who nobody's ever heard of, who's going to turn out to be a great player. You have to understand that organization drafts people wisely, and they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. And in order to have a chance to beat the Steelers, we have to do everything right, and we have to be able to catch them in some measure by surprise. And it doesn't help when your head coach is stammering like a moron in front of the press.
It seems like he's unsure of himself too.
He is unsure of himself.
Guys, I'm kind of clueless. Could you give me some advice,
dude? If you knew who your best offensive linemen were, you knew who you were going to play. You wouldn't have to be talking about it like this. You just know. I mean, this is because he doesn't know.
So if it would have been you personally, you would have said, you'll find out Sunday kind of ordeal.
No, I would have pulled Batonio over and said, hey, Joel, you're going to be playing the guard position, and we want you to play guard this year. And that's what, we appreciate what you did, the sacrifice you made during the preseason. And, the guys that we were hoping would step up, we had to cut because they didn't step up. And now we're going this direction. And we want you to play your natural position. And we understand that the young guy is going to have a little bit of a problem, but we're counting on you to help him through this. That's said in private. And Joel Batonio ain't going to talk to Mary Kay Cabbagehead. None of these people ever press for information anyway. They don't give a flying fuck. They're just collecting a paycheck.
And when was this said, by the way? Because I wasn't too familiar with the story. When was this said, allegedly?
What?
Today after practice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Today.
Out of nowhere. Desmond Harrison could be starting. I don't know, but he could be. That nonsense. Yeah, right after practice. Just stupidity. So yeah, that's the way it should have been handled. That Batonio knows, the guys know, and then you just come out in the field, and that's who's on the field.
Do you think Batonio will eventually end up winning the starting position or getting that position back? Do you see that happening? Batonio? Not Antonio, but the what is that? The guy Corbett.
Well, I see him as being a guy who they are going to groom. I see Corbett. I mean, he was a guard that they were saying might be better off as a center. Okay, so I could see Corbett being groomed if Treader fails. I could see that. But what do I know? I'm not in on this. But the guy who is supposedly in charge doesn't know either. So it's, and at Batonio, he's pissing off his veteran player. That's stupid. All right, guys, got to get running.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Stephen, thank you. And as always, Brian, thank you.
Thank you. Good.
All right. That's it for this edition of Moohead Radio. Back on Friday with the analytical pregame analysis of the Cleveland Browns and the hated Pittsburgh Steelers. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Have a good rest of the day today and a good rest of the week. Bye-bye now.